do. There's these people that love the pods, and
Kip, I'll retire and I'll come over and we'll sit on the porch and rock.
Hey, honey, what pod we want to watch today?
I'll come over and show y'all where to find it all.
That's right.
Hello, I'm Adam,
Hi, I'm Tina.
And I'm Kip.
and we're Brewing Theater. Well, we're very glad to welcome our special guest to the podcast today, Mr. Kip Tyner, who is a man of extraordinary talents. For many, many years, our only local weathercaster, and then evolved into a city council person, and now president of our city council here in Tuscaloosa. So we feel so privileged to have you on the show. Thank you for joining us today, Kip.
It's great to be here. I love it.
Kip
I'm glad you're
auditioned-
doing this too. I think that it's going to be very successful.
Oh, well,
Kip
let's hope
auditioned
so.
for president, became president, and then re-auditioned and became president again. So
I love that. You
Welcome
have to
back.
audition how many years do you have to audition now? For president?
Yeah.
Every 4 years. Okay.
Every
Okay.
4 years. So this is my 8th term on
Wow.
the council, and it's my 2nd term as president.
That's amazing.
well,
That's
we
really
appreciate
fantastic.
you very much. We call it audition. I think other people call it electing.
Well, we
But
are brewing
like-
theater. We're not brewing politics. So,
That's right.
Everybody
So-
knows what you mean anyway.
aren't you glad you don't have to have a callback? I guess if you had a runoff, that would be like your callback.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm glad I've never been in a runoff, and I'm happy about that.
Well, you know what really strikes me about you, Kip, is your constituents love you. You really listen
Love
to
you.
what they have to tell you, and you work hard for them, and they know it. And that's why you don't end up in a runoff, because you're a politician who serves the people, and that's so, so important. And we admire that about you.
I really appreciate that, because I truly, at the inauguration Tuesday, I said, I'm more excited, enthusiastic today than I was back in 1997 when
Wow.
I first started.
Yeah.
Because I'm just so project driven, and there's still so much to be done. Even though the tornado's been 14 years ago, there are just so many things that most people don't realize just how
Right.
difficult it's been.
Right.
But like you said, my constituents, I don't want to sound sappy, but my constituents are more like family to me.
Wow.
I've represented them for 28 years. And, I know I've held many of their grandbabies, and I know their kids, and I've seen them graduate. And it's just truly my district is so, in a way, compact that we're like a family.
Yeah. And I think
Well,
that's how it should be.
Alberta-
It wouldn't be great if politics was more like that for everywhere.
Alberta went through so much was hit so hard with the tornado, and
Yep.
you and the mayor and everybody really rallied to make sure that the recovery was happening, and we're still recovering. You're right.
Yes.
But let's set politics aside for a minute. Kip, let's talk about the actor Kip. You go way back with Theatre Tuscaloosa. Tell us a little bit about your history.
Well, he predates both of us,
Oh, yes.
right? So,
Okay.
tell us long ago in a galaxy far, far away,
Right.
tell us about what it was like to be new to Theatre Tuscaloosa, Kip.
Oh my gosh. I started with, the Tuscaloosa Community Players.
Yeah, before
And
we were
my-
even Theatre
my-
Tuscaloosa.
Yes. And my very first show was The Boyfriend.
Oh,
That actually was the first Tuscaloosa Community Players. I had done used to have summer show.
right.
Right.
I'd done summer show. I did, that's just Doug Perry was the,
Was he the head of the Arts Council at that time, or was he?
yeah, he was, but his, what was that? It wasn't one of the big shows that, oh my gosh, I think John Ross actually was maybe directed it that
Oh,
year.
wow. Yeah, that goes way back.
But it was 1980, and it was Jenna Langford and us we were teamed up together. What Looking Out to Sea? What's that called?
Anything goes?
Was it Anything Goes?
No, I was in that, but this is
I'm going to look at our production history.
I got
oh
nothing.
my
Find it out.
goodness gracious!
Yeah.
It's one of those big shows.
you've
Showboat?
done a lot.
Was it Showboat? Showboat.
Showboat.
Yes.
That was my actually very first production, which was called Summer Show then. And so I really enjoyed it so much that the first of the season they did that year, the Tuscaloosa Community Players, was The Boyfriend. And,
okay.
It's a fun
of course,
show.
I played the boyfriend.
Yeah. And you know what's sad about that? We don't have photos from that show. Because if we did, we'd have producer Layla putting up the pictures right now.
Yeah.
But that's one of the...
And did you know who directed that?
No. Who
Walter
directed it?
Brown.
No way. Walter Brown?
Yes, way.
That's going way back for us.
He was hilarious, but you know, he was really very good.
He's a great director, great costumer.
Oh my gosh.
I was about to say, we remember him mostly for his exploits as a costumer.
Absolutely.
Where he would be, sewing somebody into a costume as they're walking out on opening night.
Yeah.
Have I heard that truly? Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Did you ever get sewn in as you walked out?
I don't think I've had some costume
malfunctions.
I bet yes. And, bless her heart, Celia Jordan. Remember Celia Jordan? She had about 3 or 4 children that were all in dance and in theater, and she was married to Cy Jordan at the time. You remember Cy?
I know the name. I never met them.
No, I don't know Cy Jordan.
Yeah, but anyway, I came off the stage once in a quick change in one of my 3 Oklahomas, and I was changing the wedding scene, and I just slid off, the side, and she ripped my pants off, and I didn't have. And when she did, she took the underwear too. Yeah.
People have no idea what happens backstage.
But I wasn't standing at attention, thank goodness.
We're going to have to put a parental warning on this one.
Gosh, Kip, you have done a lot. You have done a lot of shows with us, and I know Paulini. You were sort of the leading man for Paulini for a long time, and then I got a chance to direct you in The Music Man, and little did we know that you were about to be very sick right after that. And I can remember, you and I, neither one of us were feeling very well during that show, but we muddled through that. And then, boy, you had a rough time after that with the cancer diagnosis, but that was so much fun. And
you made it so much fun. I absolutely, I felt like I just felt like I was Harold Hill most of my life, and I know nobody gets, you have that one role that you just absolutely love, and you don't want to ever stop.
Right.
Then I had a chance to do it 3 times.
Right.
Wow.
In over 3 decades.
Right.
That's amazing.
And so that was amazing to see.
So you were in our 1994 production, right?
And then
Does that sound right? Was
then
that with us though? Was that with Theatre Tuscaloosa though?
It was after that, because I did Theatre Tuscaloosa twice, and then Tuscaloosa, the one that Noah Wright, the Civic Chorus.
Yeah,
I did and then I did Harold Hill with Noah, and then with Paul, and then with Tina at the end.
It was 2007. That was the last one.
Yeah, because I know I was on the city council because Tina used to introduce at the beginning by saying that the city of Tuscaloosa have loaned us,
right?
Our Professor Hill,
and we appreciated that.
Oh my gosh! And the thing about I think back, and I did 19 shows.
Wow!
Because I found the list, and I was glad I found that list because the roles were just so much fun with Oklahoma and The Music Man and Anything Goes, Company, Chicago. That was the one that was the most challenging because there was at the time nothing to watch, so I didn't even know what Chicago was about. But Paul said, "I want you to do this," and I was anyway. It was an extremely challenging role, different than any others I had done before.
Yeah, there you are. Can you see yourself?
I can see myself.
That was that 2007 version.
That was my first summer as executive producer. I had started in the fall, and then that was the first summer musical when I took this job. And so now I'm in my last, summer musical with Anastasia. So
I won't believe it.
It's
I don't want to believe
and
it.
I waltzed in here together. So
yes. Oh my goodness gracious.
We had a ball doing that show, didn't we?
Yeah.
I remember also too when the first or second year we were in the Bean Brown, and you did Annie Get Your Gun. That was fun. And oh my gosh, you were crazy. Oh, look at that cute picture.
Is that the Shapoopy or close to
it? Yeah, I think so.
I loved Frank Butler, and I had no idea that I would enjoy that show as much as I did. Because Leslie, I call her Leslie Burnham, we known each other our whole lives, but had never ever had been on the stage together at all.
Wow!
And that was quite an experience. She could give me notes of the history of Frank Butler, and
of course she did,
and would give me exams like, did you read all that about Frank Butler? And but
that was a good show. That was a good show.
It was that. I think about the chorus. My defenses are down. Mm-hmm. That song, My Defenses Are Down, and the range was really large. But I can still hear the guys. Sometimes, how you wake up and you'll be having these songs in your head. Mm-hmm. Anthony, that's when I first met Anthony Nolan, and all these Jamal King, all these guys that had incredible Westcott was in all this. My defenses are down, but anyway, then I could just hear this beautiful voices behind me, and it gave me chills every performance. Yeah. That was an incredible ensemble.
Well, you and Michelle sang one of my all-time favorite songs in musical theater, Till There Was You. And every night when y'all sang that on the little bridge, I would get so choked up and teary-eyed because I love that song so much. And I will never forget that. And just the way you and Michelle sound together, and the way, you and Michelle are very, very close, and you were close back then, and you could really tell the chemistry that you guys had. That was really a precious moment, really in my memory of you guys singing that beautiful song.
Oh, I loved it. I loved it so much. And that was funny thing about the footbridge. I did, and that song, twice before I had husbands that didn't like that scene at all, because they would actually said that the kiss was getting longer every performance.
That's hilarious.
It's just one of those things, Marilyn
theater.
And because she was one of my librarians during that time. Yeah, Marion librarian. And
is this the moment?
We are.
For those listening on the podcast, we're putting up a picture right now of this little footbridge, and there's Kip having that beautiful moment.
I loved that moment. I cried every time y'all sang it.
Oh, that's so precious. Sweet. And I just loved it. And when you do a performance like that with somebody that you're really, really close to, makes it all, you forget you're acting at times. Right. You just truly do love that person,
Yeah. You get lost in the moment. It's beautiful.
Absolutely. We did that. When I first met Michelle, it was first show we did together actually was Camelot, and that was under Civic Chorus, and that was a extremely challenging role. I played Arthur, and of course she was there, and it was just so many moments that I love. Period about theater is that it's live, and as we know, anything can and will happen.
Oh, absolutely.
That's the excitement of theater, and I wouldn't have you. I I know we had to have a script at the beginning, but I hate to be scripted.
Well, you've made a living
script around
unscripted.
my TV show. You know, I've been doing live television for 45 years now.
Yeah,
And so 1980s when I started my television career, and been doing a noon show now for 45 years.
Yes, and Tina and I have both been on it. I
Yes,
can't
and
even count how many times.
And I can't thank you enough. And I always remember you, Adam, and all the others. Beth even came through. Beth Key.
Beth Robbins.
Yeah.
When I was in Little Rock, with my cancer, I mean, I had 5 people there every week.
Yeah.
Doing the show for me so we could keep it going. And
Yes.
that was, how special was that? I mean,
it was a really interesting, and I don't want to say it was a fun time because of the circumstances, but it was kind of fun for me to play TV host, because that's actually what my undergraduate degree is in. I went to get my bachelor's in telecommunication and film at the University of Alabama. I thought I was going to be on the news, just like you. I was aspiring to do what you were doing.
Yeah.
And then life took me a different path. I ended up going more towards the world of theater. But for that short period of time, I kind of got to play that role and booking the guests and, working with all the technology and, running, because you really are. I mean, you've got a couple of people helping you, but for the most part, you're a one-man band and you're doing it all. And I really got to walk a mile in your shoes. And I got to appreciate the work that goes into pulling off a show every single day, 5 days a week. It's intense.
Well, and I'm now, we've got all new equipment again.
Wow.
And it's the size of almost everything we do is like this big. We're back live on television every day, and then
Awesome.
streaming live as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so it can be very challenging booking an hour show every day.
Oh, sure.
you know? And so I'll never forget you and, oh my gosh, Michelle Coley and
Yes.
Susan Tucker and so many people that it was just amazing that I had friends like y'all to fill in for me when I sure couldn't.
Right. Well, and it was easy for us to step up because you've been supporting the arts for years. And now you're in a unique position to be able to continue to support the arts because the city of Tuscaloosa has been a supporter of Theatre Tuscaloosa for more years than I've even been with the organization. Tina even remembers back even further. And you're in a position to help make sure that the city is able to give these opportunities to have those magical moments on stage to people, going forward. You just talked about the value of that. What does it mean to you to kind of be in that position now, to be the person that helps ensure that the arts do continue and do continue to thrive in our community?
Well, we don't do it. I'll continue to strive to try to make sure the city does more.
Okay.
Because when I came on the city council in 1997, after all my years as the weatherman, and then Channel 33 left town, and so I was just at a crossroads at 40, unemployed and on severance, and then enjoying, didn't know what my next step was going to be.
Yeah.
But so anyway, when I was first elected to the council, I was shocked going through the first budget that no arts were funded.
Yeah.
None.
Wow.
I mean, not Theatre Tuscaloosa, not the symphony, not community dancers, children's theater, nothing.
Right.
And I couldn't believe it. And what I further couldn't believe, that first council didn't seem to care at all.
Right.
But I never gave up.
Right.
And, make sure that we started, eventually everyone was funded, finally got it through some hard heads that businesses from Europe and other places, when I made the trip to Germany, arts and soccer
was number one. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that's what drew so much of the Mercedes families here. And I went with Mercedes to Paris and to Germany. And every time I sat at the table with families, I never will forget how excited they were to find out we had a symphony.
Wow.
And then finally others started getting it. The Industrial Development Authority started saying, this is one of the things we use to attract industry now.
Exactly, because it affects quality of life. And the chamber got on board because they started doing these benchmarking trips, very similar to what you're talking about. You were doing it in a slightly different capacity, but Tina, talk about the trip that you guys went on, that you were able to see
Yeah, I went to
what's
Greenville,
making
South Carolina.
communities successful.
Yeah, Greenville, South Carolina, and Chattanooga, and a couple of those places, and you know, I was so glad that the city and the chamber were doing those things because it was glaring that the arts were a big part of, particularly downtown, and you know that's what draws people is to make sure that there's an arts district and all that kind of stuff. So I think all the museums and the galleries and things and making sure the BAMA continues to be operating. But
Right.
yeah, Kip, without you making people aware. And then I think now people are becoming more aware as we get, a bigger presence. And then Shelton's really been helpful, being our partner for so many years. But I cannot tell you the difference it makes in knowing that our city, that we can put that we're funded by our city, because there are
Yes.
other city people that I talk to from other cities that run an arts organization that get no funding from their city, and
Right.
it's this the amount of support that other grants look at when the National Endowment of the Arts looks at, are you funded by your city, or what the Alabama State Council on the Arts, they look to see,
Yes.
or foundations look to see if your city is the one that stepping up to support you. So you've
Right.
made a huge difference. This town looks a lot different because of your advocacy for the arts. And so I
That
want
is
to
so
thank you
true.
personally for the many years that I've been here. And I've watched it for 29 years
Yeah.
go from, and it's still a football town. And you know what, Roll Tide, I'm all about that because
Know that.
Bryant Denny is the biggest theater in town. And
Yes,
I
it is.
appreciate that. But we are more than a football town. We
Right.
are an rich arts town
Right.
of all different types of arts, Kentuck too, and all that. I mean, it's just amazing. And so I would like to thank you for
Well,
being
thank
an
you.
advocate.
It makes me happy to know that we are. I remember a big meeting I had that was filled with people when I was proposing an arts and entertainment district,
Yes.
and I couldn't believe how many people were opposed to it at
Hmm.
first
Wow.
because of the security and all these
Right.
type of things. But now
Right.
they look back and they say, I don't know why I opposed you on that,
Right.
because I think
Hindsight's always 2020, right?
we've grown up
Hindsight.
enough now. The city's big enough. You can have people walk around with a drink
Yeah.
in their hands, and
Yes.
Right.
things such as that. And when I think about what we do every Friday night now, started 1 month with live at the Plaza,
Yes.
giving people a chance to perform. Now it's 3 months. That's how
Right.
much it's grown. Three
Yeah.
months out of the year, we do that, and then of course the big Druid City Arts Festival, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
and which of
Holidays
course
on
I
the
always
river.
think of Bill Buchanan
Of
when it
Yes.
comes
course.
to that so much,
Yeah.
and then with the growth of the Saban Center is only going to enhance the arts in
Absolutely.
major ways.
Yes.
Um, to think when I came on the council, there was no amphitheater, there was no river walk, there was
Right.
no river market,
Right.
Right.
those types of things, which are huge quality of life. And I had a meeting that I don't think they'd mind me saying last week. We're looking at possibly doing a big Christmas deal with Home Alone at the just for
Oh.
showing Home Alone at the amphitheater,
Yeah.
but our symphony doing the score live.
Oh,
Oh, I
cool.
love
That'd be
that.
so fun.
And I think Montgomery even does it,
Yeah.
and Mobile and maybe Huntsville, but showing and then maybe in the summer doing Jurassic Park with the live orchestra.
Mhm.
Yes.
And
Oh,
then
that'd be
showing
so
things. I
cool.
think just little things like that I think are huge.
Well, if you haven't been to the amphitheater for the 4th of July to see the symphony do all the great stuff, and they often do the John Williams Star Wars stuff, and
Yeah.
Yes.
then the patriotic music, and then the fireworks. I mean, it is just a spectacular thing.
It's
And I remember
fantastic.
when that was a pasture. I do. I
Yes.
remember when,
It was. You're right.
and all the beautiful signage that we have now that really makes us look like we
Yes.
are a city that supports the arts. It's exciting to me. And going on those benchmarking marking trips and seeing how other cities was doing it. You know what? The best thing you can do is steal other people's ideas,
That's right.
and make them your own.
Well, and the
And
investment that the city makes in Theatre Tuscaloosa and the other arts organizations that it funds is repaid, 10, 100-fold when people come to our community and they buy gas before they leave town. They eat while they're here, so they're paying taxes while they're here. Sometimes they spend the night to come and see our shows. We just ran a study of our patrons that have come over the last year, and we found that people came from 95 different towns in Alabama to Tuscaloosa to come see Theatre Tuscaloosa productions, and something like 15 different states. So
Wow.
those people are coming into our community to see things that the arts are producing, and they're spending money here, and it's going back into the coffers. And so when people say, well, why do we invest this money in Theatre Tuscaloosa? Well, the answer is, we have a huge economic impact on this community, and we're helping to bring people in and spend their money while they're here.
That's right. Absolutely. And the reason they keep coming back is because of the level of performances that y'all put on. I mean, I've had so many people, and back when I was active, tell me that they saw this, they saw that in New York, and actually, Theatre Tuscaloosa's production was better.
Wow. We actually do hear that pretty regularly. And at first you think, oh, they're just being nice. But then when you hear it like the 10th, 15th, 20th time, you go, well, maybe there's some truth to that.
Yeah. Well, the thing about it, I think one of the best contributions a talented person can do is stay in their hometown and because, I mean, there's nothing greater than to share your talents in the place where you grew up.
Right.
To me, and
there's a lot of people
that's
that
one of the reasons we've got so many talented people that come here to university or that were raised here.
There's a lot of talented people who choose to make a living doing something else, because making a living in the arts is very difficult in America.
Very
and
difficult.
So, there are lots of people that, like yourself, you could have made it as an actor, Kip, but Lord, the lifestyle that is, it's just hard. It's nomadic. And, but what you chose a different path, but you still are able to use your talent, both. I'm sure there's some acting that has to go on in every level of what you do, but that ability to get up in front of people as a politician, that your theater helps that, I think, and then of course your TV show. But if we didn't have our community theaters where people had an outlet to share their talent, but they've decided not to make a living at it, but they still are as talented as people who do. Right. And I think that's what we offer, and I'm really proud of that.
I remember, I just love it, what we have here. But Lee Garrison, for example, even a former councilman, he really helped. I remember Paul Looney toured, Lee and I together, when the Bean Brown was before it opened.
Yeah.
But, he was saying, this is going to be here. You know how Paul is.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And so enthusiastic. But that was when we were receiving no funding.
Yeah.
But Lee remembered very well being one of the lost boys in Peter Pan. And it was an experience he never, ever forgot as a kid. Right. So, and I think that was another reason why he was such an advocate, because he had actually been in a show before.
Yes.
And
after 50 years, we are making generational impacts on our community. And some people think, oh, well, maybe just a few people care about theater. We had 80 people show up to our Anastasia auditions recently.
80. Oh
80 people wanted to be in this show, which is a huge turnout for a grown-up show. Like Tuscaloosa Children's Theater, they'll get 150 little kids come out. And, but for us, 40, we're like, oh, wow, we had 40 people come out. We had double that. We had 80 people come out for this last show. So there's so much talent here. There's so many people who need an outlet for that talent. And then tens more of those people, hundreds more people want to come and see them perform and share their talent with the community. And then it's something that you remember your whole life, like you're saying, and then it's an experience you want to share with your children and your grandchildren. And That's why it's so important that a community fund their arts. It becomes part of the fabric of the experience of living in that community.
I agree. And then I so agree. And then one of my favorite people that I worked with in the show, it was that who was in Music Man. He was Tommy Gillis. He played Tommy. Now he's in
Jake
that.
Boyd.
Yeah.
Oh, Jake. We love Jake.
And see, Jake came into my talent search, which is coming up soon, 37 years now. 37.
Wow.
I know. And Jake had won my talent search in the junior vocalist, like he's 12 years old, something. And then I hadn't seen him for a couple of years. And then next thing I knew, he was in Music Man. And what a gifted actor. Oh
This
my
is
God.
Jake when he was leading our Project Broadway
There he is.
just a couple of years ago. And we just love Jake. It's so great when we see one of our local folks go out and really succeed. And
Yes,
he's
and then
done it.
wherever he is, he's telling everyone I got my start in Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
He was in Wicked on Broadway and did the tour and
amazing.
has done several Broadway shows and done several TV and film. It was interesting last night. Dylan Riley Snyder is from Tuscaloosa and went on to play Tarzan on Broadway and do TV and film. Well, last night his nephew, Cassidy's son, sang a song from Tarzan for his audition, and I literally wept because I can remember Dylan, being this little kid and then moving on to New York, and now this next generation comes up behind him, and it was a real interesting moment for me to know that yes, I am phasing out, but that the talent that's coming up is just as wonderful, and it's exciting for me. It's bittersweet, the retirement thing, but it's not like I'm gonna go anywhere. I'm just gonna not be in charge.
I'm not gonna evaporate.
No, I'm gonna come do Kip's show. I'm gonna be the guest
every day. You can be co-host.
You can absolutely do that. Yeah,
you need a beautiful co-host.
I think there's some things planned for you, Tina, that I can't tell you about. But
okay.
But, one does involve the city, so it'll just be a surprise.
I'm so excited.
I can't tell you when or where. I know, Adam. I'm not going to let her know. I just let her know that your exit will definitely not go unnoticed.
Well, you're sweet. I appreciate that. Well, we can't wait for you to come out and see the newly renovated $1 million renovation, man. It's beautiful. I remember how pretty it was when we opened it. Well, it's had some wear and tear and a few floods. So now it's fresh and new again. And so we're excited.
I can't wait to see it. And then, when we did, I had to move out for my talent search one year as they finished up the Bama. But I said, I can't wait to see the Bean Brown because I still just can't get over how beautiful the Bama Theater is again.
Right.
Yeah,
and you can't hear it, the seats and the carpeting and everything is just and it's just amazing. So that's so great to have a revamped Bama Theater and now a completely remodeled Bean Brown. And
yes,
the Bama was our home for so long, and then when we got had the redo, we went back down there for a couple of years, and that's been fun for us. But we are so glad that we had the chance to go back down there for a while, and now we're glad to be back in our own theater.
Yes,
so.
And we want you and all our listeners to mark their calendars for July 18th is our grand reopening. It's the opening night of Anastasia. You, as a city council person, will have already received a VIP invitation.
Oh, good. To that. Yeah, and you'll definitely have to come on the show and promote that a week or whatever ahead.
We will definitely do that. It's a date.
Yeah, it's just great because. The opportunities at Theatre Tuscaloosa just continues to get better and better every year, and I'm also really proud of. We've got a really great partnership too with the University of Alabama Theater department, and they regularly promote their shows and their dancers because they there was a time, and some say Seth Panitz used to say that because through our show over the years they've seen such more larger increases in their audiences from the community instead of just university folks seeing the university shows. And so that's why we're here. We're here to just help. And with Great Day Tuscaloosa just hitting 25 years in January.
That's a big anniversary for you guys.
I don't know how you do all you do and take care of all the animals that you take care of.
It makes my head spin, Kip.
You make me tired, Kip, trying to keep up with you.
I'll tell you what, I've got 25 years, and I will say, because of losing my little brother, and then my mom too,
Yeah.
has been so hard.
Yes.
But the people and what I do, I come here to do the show every day, and then my animals. I had a therapeutic horse riding folks on the show yesterday.
Oh,
And
cool.
I fully believe in, and they're doing a big thing with mental health and animals and depression and horses, and they've got a great program. I'm actually gonna go out there. They said they got a Palomino just for me because
Awesome.
I used to ride horses quite a bit as a kid,
Oh,
but
wow.
but they say, and they are the most. I just think animals just make the world make the world go around. And
You're
I
right.
hate
They
to
love
say it, but
unconditionally.
I love animals sometimes more than I do some people.
I know a lot of people who probably feel exactly the same way. Well, Kip,
Yeah.
I've had such a good time chatting with you. I'm so glad we had
Absolutely.
this time to catch up. But sadly, I think I'm at the end of my little Star Wars mug of
Yeah, I
coffee
barely
this
got
morning.
one sip left.
So until next time, I'm Adam,
I'm Tina.
And I'm Kip.
and we've
And
been
we're
Brewing
Brewing
Theater.
Theater.
Cheers.
Cheers.